Wrestling fans, I'm Dan Mirade.
And this is the man of the hour, Leo Rush.
It was all over BostonWrestling.com and our social media. But Leo, brother, they got to check out some of this merch.
They got to.
Check it out, fans, right now, available on eBay. Support Wrestling Insiders and keep wrestling legends working on eBay. Get this limited edition Bailey autographed Rob Schamberger outprint, one of only 50 made. A great addition to the collection of any Bailey fan, direct from WWE. Also comes with a mystery autograph photo and an on-air shout-out from WWE Hall of Famer Mr. USA Tony Atlas on Wrestling Insiders at your house. Get it now. Boston wrestling sports in the MWF explodes into a new year with professional wrestling content galore and need you to join our family. Every Tuesday night at 10 p.m. after our Monday Night Raw review, it's Wrestling Insiders at your house with WWE Hall of Famer Mr. USA Tony Atlas. Wednesday nights at 10 p.m. after NXT and AEW, join rotating legends on Wrestling Insiders Special Edition. Every Thursday night at 10 p.m. after our NXT and Dynamite review, it's Marty Jannetty's No Holds Barred Sex, Drugs, and Rock and Roll Journey on Wrestling Insiders Party with Marty. Friday night after SmackDown, don't miss John Cena Sr.'s Wrestling Insiders Fabulous Fridays. Plus, look for classic clips, history videos, bonus live episodes, pay-per-view watch-alongs, and more. For less than a cup of coffee at Starbucks, get early ad-free access to our Wrestling Insider talk shows, our acclaimed studio shoot interview DVD library, and help keep wrestling legends working during the worst of times. Join our growing family at patreon.com/Boston Wrestling. Expect the unexpected in 2021. Boston wrestling sports in the MWF explodes into a new year of unknown with professional wrestling content galore, and we need you to join our family. Every Tuesday night at 10 p.m. after we review the previous night's Monday Night Raw, it's Wrestling Insiders at your house with the unpredictable WWE Hall of Famer, Mr. USA Tony Atlas. Wednesday nights after WWE, NXT, and AEW at 10 p.m., you never know who's going to show up on Wrestling Insiders Special Edition. Every Thursday night at 10 p.m. after our NXT and Dynamite review, it's Marty Jannetty's No Holds Barred Sex, Drugs, and Rock and Roll Journey through the 80s and 90s on Wrestling Insiders Party with Marty. Friday nights after the lights go down at the Thunderdome on SmackDown, it's John Cena Sr.'s Wrestling Insiders Fabulous Fridays. Plus, look for classic clips, bonus live episodes, pay-per-view watch-alongs, and more. If you want early, ad-free access to all of our Wrestling Insider talk shows, our acclaimed studio shoot interview DVD library, and to help keep wrestling legends working during the worst of times, for less than a cup of coffee at Starbucks, join our growing family at patreon.com/Boston Wrestling. Expect the unexpected in 2021.
This is Mick Foley.
This is Harley Race.
This is Shelton Benjamin.
This is Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff.
This is the Monster Abyss.
And this is Daniel Bryan.
This is JBL, and you're watching the MWF.
Be there live.
Wrestling fans around the corner, around the world, welcome to another installment, an early evening edition of Wrestling Insiders Current Events. I'm Dan Mirade. I'll be joined by my partner in crime, Dave Carter, in just a moment. It is starting to get a little chillier here in Boston after that dose of spring we had over the past couple of days. It's going to be cold today, getting a little colder over the next couple of days, but don't forget, folks, tonight is one of my favorite nights of the year. It is daylight savings time. So being the night person I am, I like it to be as light out as late as possible. So we do have that to look forward to in just a little bit. I have to say today is a very special day. It is going to be, when we look at the history books, March 13th, 2021, the first time Boston Wrestling has ever released not one, not two, not three, not four, but 5 individual videos in one day. I just realized that as I was printing up my notes today. Every day at 10 a.m., I hope you are familiar with the fact that we release our daily history video where we flash back to live event results from yesteryear, usually the 80s and 90s, since that's where our talk shows are primarily focused. Every Saturday, Sunday, and Monday at 2, we have one of our Wrestling Insider flashback video releases where we look at clips of some of our fun interviews from the past, whether it be Tony Atlas or some of the other great superstars we have. Tonight, as we speak right now, you have the special 7 p.m. SmackDown review a couple of hours early, and the reason we're a couple of hours early tonight is because at the top of the hour, 8 p.m., Dave Carter and I will be doing an Impact Wrestling Sacrifice pay-per-view watch-along. Those are always a lot of fun to be able to interact with you guys live, get your thoughts on the show, even if you're not watching the show. It's fun to sometimes hang out with fans, see what's going on, even if you share thoughts that have nothing to do with Impact, because I know right now Impact certainly does not have the fan base of Raw, so to speak, to be generous. And then on top of that, after the watch-along, we have our weekly Wrestling Insiders Week in Review Super Show, I guess maybe is the best way to describe it. It is, this week, nearly 4 hours in length, so from 11 p.m. to around 3 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Join us. As we've noted, between all of the great wrestling content and maybe not so great wrestling content that is at your fingertips in 2021, along with life in general, it's a lot to dedicate 4 nights a week to our great studio shoot interview talk shows, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday night at 10 p.m. Hint, hint, subscribe. But in the Week in Review, we play all 4 of them. So kick back, relax, grab a cold adult beverage or any beverage of your choice, maybe a little snack, because this week it's going to be Tony Atlas, Nasty Boy Jerry Saggs, Marty Jannetty, and John Cena Sr. So it's a lot of fun. You get one-stop shopping of all of those great talk shows. Before we take a look at last night's SmackDown from the award-winning Thunderdome at Tropicana Field in Tampa, Florida, as they get ready to wrap up at Tropicana Field in Tampa, Florida over the next couple of weeks. We got to get a couple of cheap plugs in, folks. We need your help to grow the channel. As we've noted, Wrestlemania week, we are trying to put together something huge, something new, something different for you guys. Wrestle House. I am working on a plethora of guests to tape interviews with, to do live episodes with, to do the cyber autograph signings with, but we can't do it without you guys. You're the tag team partners. We got to make the hot tag, brother. Dan Mirade's in rough shape. He's crawling to that corner. He's struggling up the ropes. He's sticking out the right arm. Please, make the hot tag. Come on, how can you do it? Well, there's plenty of ways you can do it. Lots of ways that won't cost you a penny. Just a second of your time. Simply give the video a thumbs up if you're enjoying it and subscribe to our YouTube channel for free. Let YouTube know you enjoy the great content that we provide to you and let them share it with fans that don't know who we are yet. Again, I am a very humble individual, not that I've ever been humbled by the Iron Sheik, but a humble individual nonetheless. There are millions and millions and millions of fans that have no idea we exist. Our mission is to simply find more and more of them because I believe if they especially have a general interest in wrestling in the 80s and 90s, they're going to absolutely love what we're doing over here. So you guys can really help the cause, again, with a thumbs up and a subscribe. And again, maybe most important, I've been told, is to share the links to the videos, especially the talk shows. Share the links. We need these Boston wrestling warriors that are here on our live premieres to help us get the word out. Share the link on your Facebook, your Twitter, share it on Reddit. Facebook wrestling groups, wrestling websites with your friends, fellow wrestling fans. Again, there are millions of them that don't know who we are, but I think they're going to love this content once they find it. The eBay store continues to have brand new items for the road to WrestleMania from superstars of every era, from current NXT superstars to original Tony Atlas artwork to autograph Legends items. Again, every purchase helps us keep the lights on, and every purchase gets you an on-air shout-out from WWE Hall of Famer Mr. USA Tony Atlas. Is our thanks to you. Tony's got to get caught up on those shout-outs. We're a little behind on that, but I look forward to having Tony back in the studio soon. Last but certainly not least, if you watch any of our shows, we consider you to be a friend, but once you subscribe to our streaming service at patreon.com/Boston Wrestling for the best in professional wrestling talk, you're a member of the Boston Wrestling MWF family, because for less than a cup of overpriced coffee at Starbucks, you get that early ad-free access to all 4 of our weekly Wrestling Insider talk shows, access to our world-renowned studio shoot interview DVD library is seen by millions online and millions on The Howard Stern Show, Patreon exclusive content, including a new Marty Jannetty interview discussing his ankle reconstruction surgery, and knowing that you, yes, great professional wrestling fans like you, are helping keep wrestling legends working. Again, that's patreon.com/Boston Wrestling. Check it out. And with all of those plugs out of the way, I welcome a man. Sometimes he's got to choose between the Kit Kats and the Three Musketeers, a man that knows his chocolate as well as the Sheik knows his medicine, Mr. Dave Carter. Dave, thank you for joining me on this fine Saturday. You and I are going to have a long night together.
Yes, we are.
And we look forward to it.
I'm excited for it. I like Impact. I think it's going to be a fun show.
Well, I am in much better spirits than I was the other day, as you can probably tell, even though it's early in the morning when I'm usually at my grumpiest.
Yes, that's good. Here we go.
All right, let's talk a little SmackDown, baby. It was Live from one of your former homes down in Tampa.
Yes, sir. So we kicked it off with the video package of what led to Daniel Bryan and Roman going to be happening at Fastlane. It all went down. Nice video package to start it off. Same thing as last week. Same thing Raw did. Then we get Edge heading down to the ring. He gets in the ring. He says he needs to address some people. He first talks about Roman, what Roman said, called him a spin doctor. He said Daniel Bryan thinks he deserves the WrestleMania spot more than him. He says he deserves it because he's been wrestling over 4 decades. He won the Royal Rumble, and he loves this, and that's why he's back. He told basically, don't use the "you wrestled more than me in the last 2 months" or whatever, because he still deserves it. Daniel Bryan comes out. He says Edge got sucked in. Thought he would respect Daniel for going into the business for himself. He respects Edge. Knows how much Edge loves this. When he wanted to challenge Roman Reigns, it wasn't about Edge. He said it might be his last WrestleMania, and that's why he's going to give it all he has to get into the main event. I have to face Roman, he says. I have to win the title. Edge says Roman has already beaten Daniel Bryan. He has respect for him, but he doesn't respect how Daniel Bryan went about this. He says, you're better than that, and I'm better than you. And then he left the ring. That's how the segment ended. I thought it was actually pretty good. It wasn't so long that it threw me away. It got to the point. It told a story, and I enjoyed it. And throughout the night, it was a sequence that led to something bigger, which it was good. I actually enjoyed this whole segment.
It really was a good segment. Maybe a little confusing. I guess as I watched, I don't understand why Edge is so angry about Daniel Bryan's involvement in the championship picture because, saying Daniel Bryan went into business for himself. The winner of the Royal Rumble gets to pick the title match they're choosing, not the opponent of their choosing. You know what I mean?
I think it's because
is Edge's point of view that he wants a match with Roman Reigns, or is his point of view that he wants a shot at the Universal Championship?
I think that's exactly what it is, but I don't think they've done a good job talking about that. That's why you're a little confusing people, but I do think that's the main reason why is because he wants to face Roman. He would like to face him at WrestleMania, not Daniel Bryan, but if he has to, But then you say that because remember the little segment they had, them two backstage a couple weeks ago, and they said Daniel Bryan Edge main event for WrestleMania would be huge too. So, and they were both agreeing with it. So
right.
I don't know. It's weird. Like you said, a little confusing.
I think it highlights again that there's just way too much time between the Royal Rumble and WrestleMania now, with so many hours of TV to fill. Not one but 2 pay-per-views. Do you want to move the Royal Rumble from the January tradition as it is? No. I think WrestleMania is better off, especially now that it has become almost a vacation destination for a lot of people under normal times. I think it's better in April when you have a little bit better chance at nicer weather than you do in March, unless you're in, maybe Miami or something like that. But, a lot of time to fill in between. I thought Edge almost came off like a heel here. I enjoyed the promo.
Right?
I really liked the intensity that he brought to it. I'll say, as far as someone just that has a general interest in watching the show, I would much rather see Edge and Roman.
Yeah, absolutely. I think so too.
And I will say, I'm sorry.
No, I was just gonna say I think you can do a Daniel Bryan Edge maybe at a SummerSlam, at something like that, like another pay-per-view. But WrestleMania, I just think Roman and Edge is a great main event to end WrestleMania. I think it's good. Daniel Bryan, because he hasn't had the steam he had the first time since he's been
Right.
back. What I mean?
I mean, it's been a very disappointing return.
And honestly, I would like to see a build to the storyline for the main event if it's going to be Daniel Bryan and Edge. Like, not just all of a sudden Daniel Bryan wins, 3 weeks later we have him at WrestleMania. Like, let it marinate a little bit and lead to like a Survivor Series main event or a SummerSlam. One of the big four if they're going to do it.
As long as they don't turn him heel again. I think Daniel Bryan is very weak as a heel. I think he's lovable as a babyface, but as a heel, every time they do it, it's just blech, blech.
Exactly. No, it's not. It doesn't fit him. Some people are great heels. It just didn't fit him.
And especially, where Bryan was in a situation where, he was gone for so long, the fans were clamoring for his return. I don't think they wanted to boo him. Never mind the piss poor material they came up with the, what was it, the Mother Nature Championship belt that he wore and all that other bullshit. Horrible.
Oh, I love it. Yeah, that was.
I don't
terrible.
know. Didn't it have a special name?
It was something to do with
that?
like it was all.
It was
like
recyclable.
Recyclable stuff.
You know what? Good. I hope they took that championship belt and they threw it in the recycling bin because that's where that piece of shit belonged.
I love it. That was actually a really good name for it. I didn't even think of that. I like it.
Well, fans, I do want to remind you, if you are a fan of Edge and/or Daniel Bryan, brother or sister, head on over to the eBay store. Link in the description box below. We have some great autograph photos and official WWE Shop T-shirts of both men. And again, you help keep Wrestling Legends working and get that Tony Atlas on air shout out with each purchase. Continue, Dave, please.
All right, so we got our first match of the night. It was Street Profits and Dominic and Rey Mysterio versus Rude, Ziggler, Otis, and Chad Gable. Otis and Chad attacked Dominic and Rey as they were walking down the ramp. Then the match started, obviously. It was an all right match. I mean, whatever. We're doing this so many different ways, so many combinations. It's getting old. It is getting old. I don't know. I like how Otis is becoming aggressive. That's the only positive thing I really have to say about him. Getting away from that, and he's just becoming more aggressive. I wish Chad Gable and him weren't together. I wish Chad Gable was doing his own thing, Otis was doing his own thing, or kept him with Tucker because this is just too much now. But I do like the aggression shown out of him. A lot of quick tags during the match that was actually pretty good. Usually it's too much, but it led to something. So it was actually good. I actually enjoyed that. I like the great switch direction frog splash by Montez Ford to win the match by the pinfall. I thought that was great. Very athletic looking. It landed well. It looked good. What did you think of the match?
Well, I didn't think it was a bad match. It was good. The Street Profits got all 4 of their moves in. That's good. They have to do that every match, which seems like every match is the same. At least this was an 8-man. It's just the one thing that stood out to me is, remember, less than 2 years ago, Rude and Gable were a stellar tag team that were tearing the house down with the Revival on the house shows, and they didn't mention that, but I guess they just want us to forget that. Another thing I was thinking that, if Otis is going to feud with the Mysterios, maybe Elia Mysterio could develop a crush for Otis to take the place of Mandy Rose, and Otis could learn how to do in Spanish. Maybe he could learn to do that in Spanish. I don't know. That remains to be seen. But, again, it wasn't a horrible match by any stretch of the imagination. Like you said, I think the quick tags kept it fresh. The Street Profits, to me, are a one-trick pony. Once you've seen them once, you've pretty much seen everything they can do, at least when you're talking about Mysterio, Ziggler, Rude, Gable. You're talking about guys that are very technically sound, good workers in there. So that helped make it a better match. And I do want to note, folks, if you are a Rey Mysterio fan, we have some great Rey Mysterio autographed items in the eBay store description. Link in the description box below. Head on over there. Get some great Rey Mysterio merch for the road to WrestleMania.
Absolutely.
All right, Dave, hold on. I lost you, kid. This cord is driving me nuts. All right, I'm moving it a little bit.
All right.
Now you're back. You're back, please.
All right, so then we moved to a backstage segment. I actually really liked this. It was quick, it was easy, but I liked it. It was Jey Uso and Paul Heyman backstage. Paul asked, Jey was ready to go in the locker room of Roman Reigns. Paul asked him, where are you going? Jey says to talk to Roman, and Paul says, since you tapped out to Daniel Bryan, pretty much, throwing little cheap shots at him, says things, maybe you should take care of some business first, take care of some things and stuff. And then I bet Roman Reigns would want to see you then. And it's like, and I like that. I liked how it was, they didn't play off that didn't happen last week, but they also didn't make him get beat up and all that crap. Mm-hmm. It was a quick little segment. I like Paul Heyman a lot in this situation. What did you think of it?
I thought it was a good little segment. The one thing I don't like, and it's nothing against this segment in particular or the people in it, it is the creative behind it. Because I think it's absurd and almost pathetic that they want the fans to believe that these human beings cannot interact with each other outside of work for 2 hours each week, especially two cousins, as if they could have not texted, spoken, talked on the phone, ran into each other in person, trained together for a whole week. Yeah. And that happens a lot with WWE segments, not these people in general. But as far as the quality of what was presented goes, it was very good.
Yeah, absolutely.
I just think the common sense behind it is lacking.
They lag it, yeah, absolutely. From there, we had Kayla Braxton backstage going to interview Seth Rollins, ask about Cesaro being a thorn in his side. Seth asked, "Why are we still talking about this?" Says he wanted to help him, but he got embarrassed and disrespected. He's done with Cesaro. He's a waste of potential. Asked about Blake and Cesaro's match, and he sits there and he thinks about it a little, ponders it in his head, and then walks away. Quick little thing, not much happening, just trying to maybe keep this feud going in a different way. Mm-hmm. It is what it was. I don't know. What'd you think of it?
Well, yeah, you had on quite the snazzy little suit there. It looked like something.
Little emerald green suit.
Yeah,
that was nice.
It looked like something the father would wear in one of my favorite movies, A Christmas Story. It was
very
nice.
Yeah, there you go.
Green and black plaid. He was very. It was a different look for Seth, I guess is the best way to put it.
All right, and then honestly, the next segment, I did not like it, and I have it was Nia, Shayna, and Reginald walking into a clothing store. Nia tells Reginald to pick out whatever you want. Then he starts trying on all the different clothes for her. Shayna's just playing around. She doesn't care about it at all. He sits on Nia's lap. He asks Nia what he could do to repay her, like, an innuendo. I don't know. They didn't really go into it, but we kind of, if you're on that level, you know what they kind of were talking about. And then the screen fades away. First thing I want to say is before we started doing this, I was listening to Bustin' Open Radio, and Mark Henry said it reminded him of things of when he was Sexual Chocolate, and he also said he really liked it, and Dave LaGreca did too. I was shocked. This was terrible to me.
Reginald, they liked?
Yeah, Mark Henry loved it. He said I just listened to it 10 minutes before we got on here, and I was listening to Busted Open Radio, and yeah, I caught this part of it, and I was like shocked that they actually really liked it. I don't think this reminds me of anything that has to do with Sexual Chocolate, and I didn't like this at all. I thought it was a waste of time, almost like they didn't have nothing for that segment, so they just randomly put something there.
That's a great way to describe it. I thought it was the absolute shits. I'm waiting for them to do maybe a hotel room scene where Reginald finds this.
Next.
You think that's next?
That's next. Oh, my God. Because you know how it went off? It how she smiled a little bit and he smiled like that. You know what I'm saying? It's going to be. You're definitely right.
Well, and then when they get to the hotel room, Reginald goes, "Look at this big sleeping bag. Is this for me?" And then Nia says, "No, these are my panties."
Jeez.
But, all seriously, though, you know what? It is mind-blowing to me that they can come up with this dog shit material for Reginald, Nia Jax, and Herman Munster, yet they cannot come up with something creative for talents like Andrade, Aleister Black, Bo Dallas, Angel Gaza, Humberto Castillo. But they have plenty for Reginald, several segments, a show, not even several segments a show. The guy's been on every show this week because he's hanging out with Nia and Herman in the women's tag team titles. It's too much. It sucks. It's not interesting. It's not going to hold fans. It's going to make fans want to change the channel.
Right on. Because, think about it. If you're a fan turning that on, people are probably like, what the hell is this? Hello?
Reginald.
But, I don't know. From there, we got the match, Cesaro versus Murphy. Seth comes out before the match starts and sits atop of the ramp on a chair. I enjoy both guys. I think both guys have a lot of potential. Obviously, Cesaro does, and I think Murphy has a great look. I think he needs the right guidance and the right gimmick to have a lot of potential. I really think he can. As Cesaro's doing the swing, Seth attacks him. Cesaro just starts getting beaten on by Seth Rollins, saying, "You want to disrespect me?" And then another curb stomp and a curb stomp. And, like, it was good. It was a good vibe. I liked it. I actually liked this a lot because usually, you know, when they have those little run-ins, it was a little punch and then he runs out. It was good. He beat the crap out of him. I liked it. It looked really good. And right before he actually did the chair shot on the throw and everything, they stopped him because, you know, when he do that, he's going to be back next week like it never happened.
Yeah.
I'm glad they stopped it so then they can keep on going with this feud because it's obviously going to be something, either a fast lane or lead to WrestleMania or whatever. But I actually liked how they didn't let him go through with the curb stomp, whatever he was planning on doing with the chair wrapped around his throat. I thought that was good stuff.
Well, not a bad match by any stretch of the imagination. Murphy, I don't know what the poor man did. He no longer has the young Miss Mysterio making butterfly eyes at him. I think Murphy is the perfect example
You know
of this.
what it is? You want me to tell you what it is?
What is
She's
it?
too young. It doesn't make sense. She's only like 18 years old. He's like 30. Like, it just doesn't look right. I bet that's why.
Maybe that could have something to do with it. But Murphy is the perfect example of someone, if this was a different era, would say, you know what, brother? It's time to move on to a different territory. You know what I mean? There is just nothing appealing about Murphy right now. He had that great series of matches. I think it would have been late 2019 with Aleister Black that really showcased the both of them. And since then, it's just been bland. They put him with the Seth Rollins faction, which was Castration City, to the guy with that horrible, boring faction, and they've come up with nothing good for him ever since.
Honestly,
you know, for
you know where he would be good? NXT.
Yeah, I mean, why not send him there for a while?
They could build around him as a champion because he's got the look, and they seem like they can get guys that you wouldn't think over a little bit more because they don't do this silly crap.
Maybe you're right. Yeah. You know what? I think Bo Dallas is someone that would benefit from going back to NXT.
And he did
Andrade, Aleister Black, all of those people. If they don't have anything for them on the main roster, imagine how hot that would make NXT on Wednesday night.
Right, and they bring all this talent in that, like, we sit there and we're like, they face this guy, they got a Leon Ruff. Like, these guys who are they really going to be at the end of the day?
Right.
You see Leon Ruff on the main roster? No, that's why, like you're saying, bring them down to NXT, have these guys in bigger, and they're going to be on national television, which is going to help a lot. I just agree with you 100% on that. You
agree or disagree?
No, I agree with you.
Oh, you agree? 100%. Okay, good.
Yeah, 100% on that.
Yeah. For Cesaro, you know, it seems like he's on the upswing right now, no pun intended, which is a good thing for him. He really hasn't had a lot of interesting things to do in recent time. Would they do Cesaro and Seth Rollins at WrestleMania? I say, not really. I don't think that's a Mania match. Would you do Murphy and Seth Rollins at Mania? I definitely don't think that's a Mania match. After the Woods, maybe I'm taking your spot right here, but Rollins kind of had a stare down with the artist in the back, and again, would that be even that? Would that be a WrestleMania match?
I don't know. I honestly, I'm thinking about. I think it'd be great.
I shrug my shoulders at all three. You'd like to see the artist and Seth Rollins
because I think it would be a great match. They're both great wrestlers. They're both great. They both can tell a story. I think if they build it up now, if they just do it 2 weeks before Mania and say, "Hey, we're having a match," no. I want a story with it because I think they could tell a great story, the promo, everything. I just think it'd be great because you got the Nakamura, who's pretty much becoming a face again, and you got the heel Seth Rollins, which he's supposed to be. He's trying to be. I think if they could tell a story with that, I think it would be a great match because I bet all our listeners and everybody would definitely agree they're both great workers, and I think you would too. I think if the story was the right one, I think it would be great at WrestleMania.
I just remember April of 2018, the Mercedes-Benz Superdome in New Orleans, Louisiana. We were supposed to have a classic between Shinsuke and AJ Styles, and I almost fell asleep. So, I don't know. Sometimes Nakamura is on, and then there are other times where it's just kind of there. I don't know. But out of those three guys, that would be the one. If that is Rollins' WrestleMania destination, one of those three men, you'd prefer it to be Nakamura and Rollins.
Absolutely. Okay. I think so because like we said, Cesaro and him would be but I think Nakamura, would be great.
I think all three of them wouldn't be bad matches. It's just none of the three, to me, bring a level of excitement. I remember talking about falling asleep.
Well,
I legitimately fell asleep in the heat during Seth Rollins and Triple H. That would have been, what, WrestleMania 33 in Orlando. I had no idea the event was going to be that long. It had been a long weekend with all of our other events that we had taken part in, WrestleCon and visiting with other friends and all the other WWE shows. And that was, I think, the first WrestleMania that went past midnight.
Yep. Yes, it was.
So I was a hot Dan Mirade, and I actually I can't imagine falling asleep next to 70,000 some odd people, but I went back and watched it. I didn't think Rollins and Triple H had a bad match at all. I was exhausted. That's how much there is to do WrestleMania week, folks.
Yeah, from Florida sun and just hell yeah, I get you. Like you said, we got the stuff face to face with Nakamura, and then from there we had Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn talking backstage. Sami says Sami wants Kevin Owens to be in the documentary. KO says he's going to think about it. There you go. Short and simple, whatever. I know you don't like it, so, I mean, it is what it is.
Next.
At least it was short, right?
At least it was short. That's a great way to put it. At least it wasn't a 20-minute promo in the ring.
There you go. Then we see Jey Uso walking, and Edge stops him and says he knows him. He knows him since he was a little kid. You should be not being used as a second-class citizen in your family. What are you doing? What does your dad think of this? And Jey Uso says, whoa, don't act like you know me. Go back to your family. Go back home. My cousin's Roman's gonna beat your ass, or he said something like that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I actually really liked the second because it was quick, but it was like, you know, you had him thinking for a second, and then I honestly thought Uso for a second was going to be like, you know what, mate? And then he turned again and said, no, you don't know me. I liked it. I see these are good. I know it's a lot of talking, but these are fast, quick hitters. That's what I call them, quick hitters. They get to the point, and they're fast. I liked it.
Well, I think Uso is one of the most underrated stars in WWE, and I think ever since they tried to go the single route with him back in September, August, September, whenever that was last summer, he's done nothing but hit home run after home run with the material given to him. So I thought this was very good as well, even though it was quick.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, this is the one segment of the night where I, circled around I didn't like. This was the one part of SmackDown I didn't like. It was the KO show. Kevin Owens in the ring. Basically said he's back. It's been a roller coaster a couple months for him. He introduces Bianca and Sasha. He asked them about what happens if they become tag team champions and they face each other at WrestleMania, tag team champions, against each other. The last time they said it was with Shawn Michaels and John Cena. I'm pretty sure that's what he said. I didn't write, but I'm pretty sure that's what he said. Okay. And Sasha says she can't help that she looks so good. She says she's the Michael Jordan of the women's division. Bianca says she respects Sasha, but she didn't help her win any of her matches. Sasha says she's going to be walking out of Mania 2 belts Becky. Bianca is in her own lane. Nia and Shayna Reginald come out. Then Maddie and Tamina come out. It was just too much, too messy. Why couldn't we just get the little show and that's it? You have to add all this other stuff in it, and it was just too much. But one thing I'm going to say is, wow, Bianca and Sasha are friggin' smoking hot.
You were jealous of Kevin Owens. You wanted to be between the two women of color.
But come on, you can't tell me they both didn't look great last night.
You wanted to grab Bianca's cue.
Hold on. You didn't think they looked good?
I did.
Okay. All right. That's all I want to get from you. At least you said you did. What did you think of this segment? Too much, right?
I know there's a lot of fans that love Kevin Owens, but I'm not one of them. I didn't think this was fun. I didn't think it was funny. I just wanted it to end. We've had enough Bianca and Sasha segments, again, highlighting that there's just too much fucking time between the Royal Rumble and WrestleMania to keep these things interesting. And then after a boring KO show that was not fun nor funny, it built to another match that just sucked, where you had the dream team of Natalya and Tamina against Sasha and Bianca, where they lost, to heat them up for the tag team title match at the pay-per-view on a brand with no women's tag teams. It just felt like this whole shit show went on forever, and far too much time was dedicated to something that most fans don't want to watch.
And then it was a 2-part segment, because then you got the match
right,
after.
Yeah.
It's like you just said, it's so much before WrestleMania. And then there's another SmackDown before Fastlane that we have to deal with just this part.
Did you want to make love to Tamina with her new colored hair?
God damn, man. All right, I'm not even going to answer.
Well, I know Samoan. I know the Fiji Island. They're not exactly considered African Americans, but
here we go.
What were you thinking of Tamina?
I'm all set.
She might be about a foot taller than you, though, but that's all right. It's just more loving.
It's all good. It was Sasha. Then we got the match. It was Sasha and Bianca versus Maddie and Tamina. Nia and Shayna are on commentary. They could do. I wrote I could do anything. I could do without them being there. There's no reason for it. I can't stand it.
The 85th time this week we had to see Nia Jax.
I thought it was actually a pretty good match. I don't need this match. I think they could have done without this match, but the match itself, I'm not going to crap on because it was pretty good. The full workers in it can work. So it was a good match. It was good flow, I thought. Reginald kept on getting involved, though. That bothered me. I don't even understand him anymore. Like we talk about all the time. It's just too much. He's never going to be able to change from this ever again because he's on TV so much now.
He's the new fucking Otis.
Right. If they ever want to do anything else with him, they're not going to be able to. It's crazy. It's just too much. A little bit, all right. The Carmella thing, he could have been, because like Ziggler was Chavo's friggin' caddy or whatever before. But you didn't really remember because he wasn't on the screen. This guy's on the screen so much. If they ever want to make him serious, it's not going to happen.
Heavily focused upon. You're right. It's hard to undo that.
Exactly. Tamina and Maddie win by pinfall, which I kind of thought they were going to, so they could keep this feud going because like you said, there's so many weeks between this and WrestleMania. They got to have something. Bianca says she doesn't lose, and it's your first because you keep on. It's your fault because you keep on getting Reginald involved and you keep him around. So what did you think of the match? I don't know.
I hated it. I hated the whole thing. And, maybe it was because I thought the whole segment was lousy. It took away from it. As far as the four of them go, there's far worse than Natalya, Tamina, Sasha, and Bianca. But it wasn't anything I had any interest in. I just wanted it to end.
And that's why that whole segment was circled, this whole entire thing. This was the only part of SmackDown I did not like. From there, we got Bianca and Sasha backstage arguing about Reginald. Sasha says she's not going to take the L because you lost. And walked away. I don't know. Whatever. They're just going to keep on doing this. I bet you don't have nothing to say about it, right?
No, I pretty. I think I summed the whole segment up pretty well a few minutes ago. It was just atrocious. Something I have no interest in. And you want to know something? I think hopefully now that we do these shows on a regular basis, you see that I do try and keep an open mind towards most things, even if I don't like them in general. But when I was away in Florida last week doing my top secret undercover work, I think I told you that little Marty came along and we had a chance to, talk a little bit about wrestling, and we watched SmackDown on, if you subscribe to Xfinity, you can watch your DVR shows on a computer. So one night we were playing cards and we watched SmackDown. Obviously it was Friday because we watched SmackDown later on. And even he, a 15-year-old kid, said he doesn't like the women's wrestling matches. They're not that good. So, I mean, who is it that they're trying to appeal to? You go to a lot of live wrestling events. Have you seen a big uptick in women wrestling fans going to these shows? Do you see little girls circling the aisle at toy stores looking to buy wrestling figures? I mean, I just don't know. I wish someone could say to me, well, Dan, the reason we're doing this is A, B, and C. We're expanding the women's fan base. The women's merchandise is moving. None of these things are happening. But yet they continue to shove it down people's throats. There was a period of time where I think WWE would even admit, you're probably talking from the end of the glory days of OVW until 2012-ish, they had a really disappointing time in churning out new talent. They had nobody. And it was a lot of repetitive matches, a lot of repetitive feuds, a lot of repetitive main events on pay-per-view. And it was kind of a boring time as far as new faces go. With the Performance Center and NXT, they don't have that problem anymore. They literally have dozens and dozens, if not over 100 talents down there actively training and ready to try and chip in when they are molded and ready to compete. I just don't see the need for the women to be part of the men's shows anymore. I think it's time that if they truly believe in these women and they think these women can contribute, give them their own show, whether it be an hour of Raw, whether it be a WWE Network exclusive show. If they believe in the women that much, give the women the ball and let them run with it and see what the fan response is. Because I tell you this, if you look at the ratings on Monday Night Raw, the week they began this, let's give the divas a chance shit, and they brought in Charlotte and Sasha and who was the third one? Becky Lynch, all in the same week. I'm sure you remember that. The ratings on Monday Night Raw are less than half of what they were that week. So, I'm not saying that's the only reason. There's lots of reasons why the ratings have gone down so much. But you can't tell me they've helped improve anything. You can't tell me there's one business uptick.
The one SmackDown numbers went up from the week before from last week, but I don't think it's the women doing it. I think it has to do with
what's considered an increase? 100 or 200,000 fans for a week? I'm talking about long term. Over those 5 years. Tell me something that says these women have contributed in a positive way and helped the bottom line for the company. Has it been ratings? No. Has it been network subscriptions? No. Network subscriptions were starting to go down. The best thing that happened to WWE Network was that the virus hit because people were so bored they were subscribing to any streaming service they could get their hands on. Has merchandise gone up? No. Merchandise has gone down in many areas. Licensing fees, that license out to action figures and video games, licensing has gone down. This is a publicly traded company. These are things they have to reveal in these meetings. And again, you can say a lot of people might watch on YouTube, but what is it translating to as far as the bottom line goes? It's going to be interesting to see what happens when fans are allowed back on a regular basis. Wrestlemania obviously is Wrestlemania.
They'll never get away with the women though. Now they'll never do away with it because they're all about the women. Look at Stephanie McMahon. Everything she promotes, everything is women this, women that. They're always going to have this now. So we just got to deal with it.
Well, that's what I mean. If they are so pro women, why? Look at the end. You have the NBA and you have the WNBA. Give the women their own show.
You seen that documentary they put on, Heaven or whatever it's called?
Heaven?
It's called Heaven or something. It was like a woman wrestler, like she was in high school. It's a big. It
was a person.
They put on. They put on the network, and it's like so they're just going that way. They're just going to keep on going, feeding it, which isn't a bad thing. But I don't rule out the idea of, like you said, having their own show. That would be good.
For the fans that love it, it would be great.
Yeah,
let them enjoy it, and let us have our wrestling back.
Right. All right. From there, we had the return of Big E. He comes down to the ring in that neck brace, rips it off as he's walking down. He says, as he was laid up in the hospital, he gets real biblical, I guess you could say, on this promo. Prays he knows what Apollo did. There's no sorry for what he did. He has to go Old Testament on him. He's going to bulldoze his house. I don't know why he said that, but that's what he said. You must want what I have now, and now I'm ready to give it to you. Apollo doesn't come out because they're waiting for the music to start. He's sitting there. So Big E says, obviously you're not coming out, so I'm going to have an open challenge for the Intercontinental Championship. We have the music of Baron Corbin start. He's basically walking down. He tells Big E to calm down, and sure enough, your boy comes out, Sami Zayn, and says, I accept it. All of a sudden, Corbin's like, what are you doing? They're fighting. All of a sudden, Big E says, whoever gets in the ring first, I'll wrestle. Obviously, Sami Zayn gets in. He gets, beat up a little bit, but obviously he's going to be fighting for the title. So then we get the match. Do you want to talk about that at all?
Just go through the whole thing.
Okay, and then you go. And then we got the open challenge match, which was Big E versus Sami Zayn. It was actually a pretty good match. I was surprised. I thought it was going to be a quick little boom because of how mad Big E was. Honestly, that's what I think they should have did. Because how mad he was, he should have demolished Sami. But no, Sami got some offense in, and it was a little back and forth for a little bit there. It wasn't a long match, but you know what I'm saying, I think. Sami Zayn was slapping E repeatedly in the face, which I was like, whoa, what's going on? That's another. I'm like, what's going on here? Big E ends up pinning Sami Zayn to retain the title. Apollo music hits. And this is what bothered me. Big E's looking everywhere but where the hell he was. Like, come on. Like, you can't. Why didn't you just stay looking at the ramp then? Because he looked at the crowd and just only on one side. Why wasn't he like circling it? You know?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just like, come on. But if sure, Apollo comes up from where he wasn't looking, from under the ring. Apollo attacks Big E, hits him with the stairs again. You know, I don't know. I mean, that part I could do without. The match was all right, but I think they should have just had Big E squash him because how mad he was in the ring. What did you think of the whole thing?
It should have been a squash match. You know, with Big E, to me, it's a lot like The Miz. No matter what promo Big E cuts, it's almost like he says the same thing over and over again, even if he's talking about different people, different vendettas. It's just, it's like it's a one-trick pony. He wanted Apollo, and instead the other dog shit came out. And we get to have another Sami Zayn match, which, again, they have nothing for Andrade, nothing for Aleister Black, nothing for Bo Dallas, nothing for Angel Garza, nothing for Castillo, but they have plenty for fucking Reginald and Sami Zayn, who if I never saw Sami Zayn again, I would be thrilled. And, you know, that's nothing against the man. I know he does a lot of great charity work, and I think that's exceptionally kind of him for what he tries to do for the people in Syria. But as far as his in-ring, on television presentation goes, it is awful. It is boring. It's not funny. His presentation is an insult to what professional wrestling should be as far as what an athlete looks like. He looks like a homeless person or a piece of garbage. He looks like he should be the neighbor of Oscar the Grouch, and it's terrible. It doesn't belong on TV, and it's another WWE problem to me.
Well, yeah. I mean, I can't.
How do I really feel?
I know that's you said enough. You said multiple times. I like Sami Zayn. I just don't like what they've used him in WWE. I liked him as El Generico. I liked him in Ring of Honor a lot. Here, not so much. I think he's ever since he had that match with John Cena, he's just lost steam. It's just been steam
so it's
down.
Been downhill for the past 5 years.
I really think so. Don't you? Since he got injured, what do you think?
I think he was okay as kind of a lower mid-card babyface. I'll say one thing. You know what? Where I've been negative, I'll compliment the man. I think once they let Strowman away from Wyatt family, I think he did a really good job in that role I just described as kind of a mid-card, lower mid-card type babyface, and helping get Strowman over as a monster when they first went the route with Strowman as a singles heel. And I'll tell you this, and I'm happy to be wrong. I thought Strowman was going to be a spectacular failure. I thought he was so bad when they brought him up too soon, which was obvious. But, you know, once he got his footing, and he did have that run of great success, is just this scary, monstrous, dangerous heel. You know, Strowman's time before they went the sports entertainment route with him was very, very good. And I think you can thank Sami Zayn for that, because Sami Zayn did a lot of work to make Strowman look good. So, you know what? I'll give Sami a pat on the back for that. Right
on. From there, we get another backstage segment with Nia and Reginald. Talking about Sasha. Reginald said Nia should challenge Sasha so she could go into Mania being a double champ. Yeah. Could have done without this, I guess. This is another one I should have circled. No need for it. Enough of them on TV. They're on TV too much. It's too much.
Yeah, that's one thing to say. Especially when Herman has a bigger forehead than Reginald.
I know, right? There you go.
There you go.
Okay, so then we get the contract sign. This was the main event, I guess you could say, the last segment of the night. It was Roman Reigns, Jey Uso, and Paul Heyman heading down to the ring. Daniel Bryan's already in the ring, as well as Adam Pearce. It's the contract signing. Adam Pearce has explained the contract, asked who would like to sign first. Roman is basically bullying Adam, telling him, get out of the way. He's going to sit at the head of the table. So he does. Roman tells Daniel Bryan he doesn't want to do this. Roman says he's not signing this. Daniel says, he never thought you would be like afraid to sign a contract. Basically trying to get Roman hyped up, you know? People think I'm better than you. I did something you never did, and that was make Jey Uso tap out and just starts going on. And Roman just, you can tell, getting real hot. Finally, he signs it. Jey freaks out, grabs the table, throws it, and says he should be the special enforcer. Then all of a sudden, Edge's music hits, and he comes out and says, how about we fight for it? It's me and you. Well, he says, actually, after 11 years, of not being on SmackDown. Let's fight for it next week. Me and you for the special enforcer of the match. They said all of a sudden Adam Pearce says, that sounds good to me. Edge comes running down. They stop brawling everywhere. Daniel Bryan hits Edge with the flying knee. I loved this whole segment. I thought it was really good. And it's another way to make that match at Fastlane more enjoyable, I think. Because like it could be a wash away match, but it's more enjoyable. There's something else on the line. I enjoyed it. I liked the segment.
I think the contract signings are getting a little old.
But this wasn't a bad one, though.
No, it wasn't a bad one. I like that Roman always makes sure he sits at the head of the table. Yes. That's a small attention to detail that I think is a good thing.
Yes.
You know what? As far as the guest referee goes, I kind of disagree with you a little bit. I'd rather see maybe something along the lines of they're both going to be cornermen. Edge is going to be in Bryan's corner. Russo is going to be in Roman's corner. I think having active wrestlers as guest referees, I've never really been a fan of it. I like the idea of guest referees if it was a Stone Cold or a Bret Hart or something like that. But as far as an active guy, I thought the segment was good. I thought it played out well. I liked the brawl at the end where you had the baby faces winding up nailing each other. But as far as having one of them as a guest referee goes,
Let me ask you this.
Sure.
Now, do you think, anyway, I know you probably know, but I'm going to ask anyways just to throw it out there. If obviously Edge is going to win this match next week. If Edge screws over Daniel Bryan some way, you think they do a three-way at Mania?
No.
Okay.
Well, I'll tell you this, and I had I had to speak with WWE people this week, and it's been Edge and Roman all the way since Cena couldn't get out of Canada.
Okay. I just want to make sure because that's what you know how WWE...
But things can change. Things can change.
But you know how WWE likes to do those little wacky things near the end, and I was reading that Vince McMahon wanted to blow up the whole card and everything, so I didn't know maybe this was a way to make that match, you know?
I think making it a triple threat waters it down.
Right, absolutely.
You know, I hate triple threat matches. I hate four-way matches.
I honestly want to see Edge versus Roman. I think it would be I think it's a good match. Like you said a couple weeks ago, spare versus spare kind of thing. I think it's,
if you wanted to save that for, I don't know, whatever the hell the first pay-per-view will be after WrestleMania, fine. But for WrestleMania, I'm big on, just give them the singles match.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree. I just didn't know. I figured I'd ask that question and see how you
I think Bryan and Uso would be an exceptional match at WrestleMania, but they've done it so many times on free TV, it really doesn't make sense.
Right. I think honestly that you're going to get that match at WrestleMania too, because if they don't do a three-way, what's going to happen is Edge is going to get distracted. Uso's going to come out, beat on Daniel Bryan. Roman's going to get the win, and then we're going to get that story told until WrestleMania. Jey Uso and Daniel Bryan go back for it. I really think that's what they're going to do, but who knows?
Well, we are in for an interesting few weeks, folks. That is, for sure, the road to WrestleMania. It's usually when WWE at least attempts to pump out their best material of the year for the big show. But it varies year to year. Sometimes we see better quality than others. I think like I said, my main point of contention is there is just too much time between the Royal Rumble and WrestleMania, and it can lead to a lot of nonsense. But again, that's one man's opinion. I hope more fans like it than dislike it, because that's good for the industry overall. So I guess now we move on to the grades?
Yeah, let's do it. I gave it an 8 out of 10.
Holy shit!
I gave it an 8 out of 10. I thought everything was good, other than I already said the things I circled, which was the women's thing, that whole KO show thing, and then the Reginald thing backstage. I thought everything flowed good. I thought everything was good. I really did. Nothing made me want to turn off the TV other than that one thing. And if it's just one thing with all that happened on SmackDown, I thought 8 and 10 was very, very good. Very good grade.
Unfortunately, I disagree. I gave it
But that's the best thing about this show is we can disagree.
Smack dab in the middle. I gave it a 5 out of 10. What I thought was good was very good. And I thought there was just way too much time wasted on things that were irrelevant between the women, the Kevin Owens show, the Sami Zayn shit, Reginald. It's nonstop Reginald. And I thought the 5 was almost generous.
But see,
I'm glad you liked it.
me away. That blows me away because you gave AEW review a 7 out of 10.
Well, they ended with a big hot
And now
angle.
it's terrible. That show was unwatchable pretty much. So many damn... I don't know. I'm blown away with your grade. I thought maybe you would give it close 7. Wow. 5 out of 10.
Was there one match or one big angle on that show last night that was really good?
Yeah.
We've been seeing the contracts. We've been seeing the Edge and Bryan and Roman dynamic for a while, and it's very. It is.
My thing is, when I grade this, I also go by how good the segment was because we watch so much wrestling.
You're right.
You got.
You're not wrong.
All the segments were watchable. I just thought AEW was so bad. Their promos were so long, and the segments were just so bad. Like, it's just the same old crappy bullshit with them. It's, it's too long, and the women's match is so dang. I don't know. I know this isn't AEW. I just can't believe you gave AEW a 7 out of 10. You gave this a 5. It just blows me away. But hey, that's your grade. I'm not going to argue with you.
Just to try and maybe make sense to the folks listening. Quality-wise, was the presentation overall of WWE last night better? Yes. But was there anything new last night? Not really. I mean, the Edge and the Roman and the Uso dynamic is excellent, but it's been going on for a while now. At least with what AEW did, they came out of the show with not only a hot angle, they came out of it with something new and fresh. And like I said, it was almost like the reset button for their quote-unquote new season leading into their next quarterly pay-per-view. So that's the reasoning behind the reason why my grade was so high. I think as far as the quality of the presentation goes, WWE's quality of the presentation is always better than AEW's.
Well, we can look at it like this, though, too. AEW only beat NXT by 70,000 fans this week. They were supposed to be a huge event because it was their AEW after.
No kidding, right? Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. That's how bad that show was. No one tuned in. Like, so that's my thing, too, with it. That's why I'm just blown away by your grade. I thought for sure because you've seen that, how bad people didn't watch AEW, and then how good that SmackDown was paired to AEW. I thought for sure. But, hey, you have your own thing. That's the thing. I'm not arguing.
With the ending of that AEW show, it makes me interested to see what's going to happen next. We have that new faction, and they're trying to get the Four Horsemen name. If they're ever able to get the Four Horsemen name, I think that would be really cool. Again, if this was the first Roman Bryan Edge interaction, maybe I would have went a little higher. But again, we're several weeks into what is the same thing over and over again.
I wasn't just trying to understand it more. I wasn't arguing with you about it. I just was trying to understand it more. But hey, you have your grade. That's cool. The only
did my explanation at least make any sense?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, good enough. Then. That's all that counts.
That's what I was pretty much getting. That's why I said what I said to get the explanation.
Yeah.
The only news I have is about Andrade asking for it this weekend wasn't granted. I'm pretty shocked about that. I'm not shocked that he wanted it. I'm just shocked that WWE doesn't use him, and it came to this because he was so hot for a little bit there, and it just blows my mind.
You didn't go to the Royal Rumble in Phoenix with us. The Dutch boy was there for that.
Yeah.
But I just remember saying, everybody does their picks and so on and so forth. And with two brands, it makes it more interesting nowadays as far as who the winner could be. But the two guys that I wanted them to go with that year were, and look at where they are now, were Andrade or EC3.
Yep.
I thought EC3 was a new, fresh face that was over again. Was he as technically sound as a lot of the top WWE guys go? No. But you know what? His personality, his charisma, his gimmick could have gone a long way in that company. And boy, was that fucking wasted. And Andrade, again, the same thing. There is someone, maybe his English isn't as succinct as they'd like it to be, but, there's just so much they could do with that man. And it's a really, I imagine, an awkward situation for Charlotte Flair to have to go to work in a place where her significant other is so unwanted and doesn't want to be there and is basically held hostage because they don't want him to go to another company, yet they don't want to do anything with him. It's almost like a child that got too many toys for Christmas. They don't want to share with their friends, but they really don't want to. They want to play with their bigger toys.
Yep. I don't know. I was just blown away that it came down to this now. When he has so much potential, and he does still. I don't know. Blows my mind.
Him and Zelina was such a great duo together. He should have been the top heel on one of the two shows. Absolutely. But one man's opinion, but we are running out of time here now, Dave, as I'm looking at the clock now because we are going LIVE live at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for the Impact Wrestling Sacrifice pay-per-view watch-along. Dave and I, forget about these little podcast reviews. We're going to be live in studio for this mega event known as Sacrifice. I'm looking forward to it. You guys really seem to like the last Impact pay-per-view watch-along we did, because I believe it was the most watched watch-along we ever did, which blew me away. I couldn't believe it. But so we're going to be live in studio tonight doing that for you. As you're watching this, Dave and I are producing something for next weekend for you guys to enjoy. So just so much great content. And don't forget, even if you missed the watch along at 8 o'clock, we're going to be back with yet another brand new show at 11 p.m. tonight. It's Wrestling Insiders Week in Review, nearly 4 hours long, where we have the complete in-studio shoot interview, Wrestling Insiders this week with Tony Atlas, which is an episode that was so adult-themed, it made Marty Jannetty blush. Nasty Boy Jerry Saggs, Marty Jannetty himself, shooting on Wrestlemania 5, the event, which was a really interesting look at that show, as well as John Cena Sr. So as we're running out of time here real quick, I'm Dan Mirade, he's Dave Carter. We're going to see you in a few minutes at 8 p.m. for the Sacrifice Watch-Along. The World Wrestling Federation was live at Bayonne High School Gym in Bayonne, New Jersey, Friday, March the 13th, 1983. In the opening contest, Yoshiaki Yatsu battled Johnny Rodz to a draw. The Moondogs with the win over S.T. Jones and Rick McGraw. Stan Hansen defeated Dominic DeNucci. WWF Tag Team Champion Tony Gurria victorious over Hulk Hogan via disqualification. WWF Tag Team Champion Rick Martel beat Baron Mikel Cicluna. WWF Intercontinental Champion Pedro Morales retained the title over the Hangman. And in the main event, Andre the Giant defeated Sergeant Slaughter. If you were in Bayonne live, share your memories in the comments section below. Use the links in the description box to keep Wrestling Legends working in our eBay store and on our acclaimed Patreon streaming service, so we can bring you more interactive superstar shoot interviews to relive the good old days of professional wrestling. Check it out. Boston Wrestling Sports in the MWF explodes into a new year with professional wrestling content galore and need you to join our family. Every Tuesday night at 10 p.m. after our Monday Night Raw review, it's Wrestling Insiders at your house with WWE Hall of Famer Mr. USA Tony Atlas. Wednesday nights at 10 p.m. after NXT and AEW, join rotating legends on Wrestling Insiders Special Edition. Every Thursday night at 10 p.m. after our NXT and Dynamite review, it's Marty Jannetty's no-holds-barred sex, drugs, and rock and roll journey on Wrestling Insiders Party with Marty. Friday night after SmackDown, don't miss John Cena Sr.'s Wrestling Insiders Fabulous Fridays. Plus, look for classic clips, history videos, bonus live episodes, pay-per-view watch-alongs, and more. For less than a cup of coffee at Starbucks, get early ad-free access to our Wrestling Insider talk shows, our acclaimed studio shoot interview DVD library, and help keep wrestling legends working during the worst of times. Join our growing family at patreon.com/Boston Wrestling. Expect the unexpected in 2021.